All right, are you ready to talk about Jethica?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's talk about Jethica.
Jessica.
Oh my goodness. Okay, Jethica. Yeah. This is an hour and 10-minute movie that felt like it was 30 minutes long.
It went by so fast.
It like so we watched this on something where it will ask you if you want to skip the credits.
Yeah.
Right before the credits roll or right as the credits are rolling. This one did it like a minute or two
It did
before.
it like 5 minutes early, I
It
feel.
not five, but
It
it did
felt
it. It did
very
it pretty
early.
damn early. And when the skip credits thing comes on, I'm usually ready for it. Devils. And
Mm.
we were trying to remember what reviews we needed to do, and I just remembered the other movie we watched. Um, and so this skip credits came up, and I had a very visceral reaction to it when it
Yeah.
came on the
You're like,
screen. It
what?
literally felt like the movie was just starting.
Yeah.
Like I literally thought we had just started to set the premise up,
Mm.
and it like went to end.
Yeah.
Now it jumped up a little early, so there was like another scene that happened after that, but very small scene.
Yeah, it wasn't
And I
anything.
kept telling Kaylee, "This is over," because I checked the time and I was like, "This is over." She was like, "So yeah, like of course it's over. Like this is the end of the movie." And it's
Well,
like, "What are you talking
I
about?
kind of like,
What are you talking about? This movie literally just set up its premise
it's because
and is just ending."
in my head already knew like, okay, this is an hour and 10 minute, or hour and 11 long minute movie. Like I understand like it's gonna be short. I do think it's like I was really enjoying the film a lot, so like I would have easily watched another like 20 to 30 minutes of story if they had wanted to like include more.
Mm.
But I wasn't bothered by where it ended or anything. I don't know if that's what you're saying necessarily, that you don't,
Yeah, I
you're
am.
saying you don't
I
like
am
it. So
saying that.
I like the ending. The ending works fine for me. I was fine with it. I thought it was really cool ending, and I think it fits very well with the story itself. So I don't
It's
know,
just so fast
but
and
it
abrupt.
is a really quick watch. Yeah.
It's so fast. And this one definitely does not overstay its welcome. It's one of the rare films where I will say, like, this needed more time. I shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
say rare, I say that here and there, but it just, this felt, this felt way too short for me. Like, as you said, 20, 30 minutes probably would be necessary.
But I just, yeah, I don't know. I guess we should say what it's about first too, so people know what we're talking about.
It's tough because I feel like the premise is the reveal. And the
Mm,
reveal is like the oh, but you kind of already figure it out. But that's the fun of the film.
mm-hmm.
Is like I knew what it was about going in, Kaylee didn't. And so
Mm,
I was like, okay, like when are we gonna reveal this? And as the film kind of plodded along, I was like, oh, okay, they're kind of keeping this as a reveal, but they're also dropping obvious breadcrumbs along the way that you start to put together, and you're like, oh, I think I know where this is going, and I like that. I think
yeah.
that that is a good way to do this. They don't make it like they don't try to hide it so much that it's gonna that they're trying to like play hide the ball, and they're like, oh no, we're not doing anything. What are you talking about? Oh, ha, 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 you didn't expect that, did you? I don't feel like they're doing that. I feel like they know their audience is realizing it, and that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that about the movie. So I mean, as far as the plot synopsis goes, you've got a girl who's recounting a story from the past as she's having like a one night stand with this
Yeah.
guy, and she tells this story of a friend that she met up with, and her friend had a stalker, and her
Yes.
stalker is insanely obsessed with her,
So obsessed.
and her name is Jessica,
Yes.
but he has a lisp, so he calls her Jethica.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I mean that's really all I can say about the movie. But he's relentlessly stalking her,
Yeah.
and then there's a twist that happens,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's labeled as like a dark comedy, and I guess I could see that
Mm.
sort of. It has that indie dark comedy feel to it for sure. I wouldn't say I ever laughed, and I never felt like I was going to, or that I found anything in there to be all that funny. but I get the like darker comedic tone.
I guess I could see that. I actually thought the film was very dark and
Sad. Yeah,
sad
it's a super
too.
sad movie.
But I was really into this. Like
But it
overall,
feels like satire. It feels
kind
like
of,
Napoleon
but
Dynamite, where it has that like
no, I didn't
no,
feel that.
because
I didn't feel that
it
at
does.
all.
It has that like Midwestern like landscape feel, where it's just a lot of like shots of outside like uh you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. They're in New Mexico.
I know, okay, it's
Um,
not the same landscape, but it just has that feel to it where the characters are a little different, a little more awkward. And yeah, I'm not, because Napoleon Dynamite is obviously trying to be funny the whole
yeah,
time, but there's a sadness to Napoleon Dynamite
sure.
the whole time. Like everyone is kind of pathetic
Yeah.
the whole time, and while it's like that, but without any of the jokes.
I
You
know.
know what
I
I
see
mean?
what you're saying.
It has
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
feel of just like awkwardness because
I
of
mostly
the guy.
yeah, I was gonna say I think that he's really the awkward character. I think that the two friends that are the main characters aren't awkward with each other or anything, and I think that they're very like grounded characters. But I'm glad you brought up the landscape because that was actually something that I thought worked really well for the film. I love there's a lot of like sweeping shots of like empty cattle land in
Yeah.
like the mountainous desert of New Mexico. So there's mountains in the distance and then just like flat blankness for miles and miles. And
Where's
like,
Napoleon Dynamite set? I think I'm like
I
totally
don't
off
know.
base now. I'm
I don't
like,
know.
I don't know. I said Midwestern.
I haven't seen Napoleon Dynamite in like years, so I don't
Yeah.
know. But lots of like long stretches of empty highway and kind of like the main location is this trailer in the middle of all that emptiness, and I just thought that that fit really well with the story, and I just loved it. I thought it was really haunting and eerie because I've lived in areas like that
Yeah.
before where you just feel this like it's isolation, but there's like some other element to it that's like kind of the sadness of being like surrounded by like nature that's so vast and you feel really small and you're just like so far away from everybody, and it's sad but calming too at the same time. It's really interesting, but I loved that. I really loved the twist of what happens. I thought that was a really cool concept, and the performance of the guy who plays the stalker was very disturbing to me. His performance actually reminded me in a lot of ways of the actor and director of Be My Cat. I felt
Mm,
like kind of the same thing of like this feels a little too realistic.
yeah.
I don't know how much of the lines were like ad libbed or anything because I kind of felt like maybe like there was a bit of spontaneous stuff in there, but I think all of it works really well, and it's very disturbing and scary because like I've never had a stalker, thankfully, but I have thought about like just that concept before like several times of like how there are people that just get so obsessed and will follow you and do whatever they can to be close to you and everything, and it's really scary. So I thought that part of this movie was really scary and portrayed really very realistically feeling to me.
Mm.
So but yeah, I don't know, I was really into it, and I think the ending is like very sad and bittersweet, and like I just was super into it all. So I don't know, I thought they did a great job, and like I would have watched another like 20 to 30 minutes if there was like more to be explored, which I think there could have been for sure, but I was content with where things left.
I think this one's on Shutter. We it's
I
either
think
Shutter or
so.
Screenbox, but I'm almost positive this is the Shutter one. We jump back and forth
Yeah.
between the two a bunch. Um, but I liked it. I didn't love it. I'm nowhere near as high on it as you are. You
Mm,
were into it. I was starting to like it. I was liking the concept. I was liking the feel. I was liking where it was heading, and then it ended, and I was like, oh, that okay, that's where we're ending. You know.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about how like endings of movies can really impact obviously your overall takeaway of the film. So you can be enjoying, most of it, but then not really dig the ending, and it just kind of ruins the whole thing for you. So,
I don't know what this style is that I'm trying to like come up with the words for, because there's a certain independent indie feel that
Mm.
these kinds of movies have that I can't really put like proper verbiage towards. Like I don't know exactly what to refer to these types of films as because I could name a few films off the top of my head that these feel like, but they're not conceptually similar. They don't have a similar like they just have like a similar tone and
Mm.
atmosphere to them. Like when we watch Chompy and the Girls,
Oh
you know
yeah, I
what I
love
mean?
that one.
Where it just has this kind of like
It is,
awkward
yeah.
offbeat.
It is like an indie, like Napoleon Dynamite, you already said, or
Yeah.
Juno, or like those kinds of films, where they're not like
I'm not really sure what they're doing in the
super
movie to
polished.
get that feel out of them.
Yeah.
But there's a quietness.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that there's, because like the conversations that are had, there's not like, in a lot of films there's this need to have like snappy comebacks and like conversation that's happening really fast, and there's always something going on visually or like with sound or something. And with these kinds of movies and with this movie, it is really quiet and it kind of makes you like sit and linger with things,
Yeah, it's a
but without
lingering movie.
being, at least for me, it's
Boring.
not boring or slow. It's just kind of
Uneventful.
uneventful, but uh, in a sort of, I want to say powerful
Engaging.
way. Yeah, like an important kind of uneventful, if that makes sense, which is like contradictory, but
Yeah.
I know it's hard to put your finger on it. Maybe somebody else in the comments can tell us if this genre, like subgenre, has a specific name for this style.
Yeah,
You should let us know.
I don't know what to call it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thinking of all these different films in my head that have this feel to me. Even a movie like we hated from this year, like Bad Things,
Yeah,
set in that hotel,
yeah.
where there's just this offbeat nature to it.
Mm-hmm.
Just doesn't feel right. Like
Mm-hmm.
something is like missing that's in more traditional films
Yeah.
that makes the atmosphere in these much more hollow and like quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like there's not something between the frames. Like there's a lot of like emptiness in sound and visuals and in dialogue and everything, and there's just this hollowness around the characters.
Yeah.
It's like everything but them is dead.
Yes.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. It's
There's
interesting.
it's yeah.
And it's,
So
I mean, like with this one I really like it. There's obviously, we didn't like the other film, but um most of the time I do enjoy that style because it feels very like artistic, and it does just make you kind of feel, it is that like impact that the landscape has of making you feel really small, like the characters all seem sort of unimportant in their environments.
yeah,
So I don't know.
yeah, and it's not like bigger movies can't have this feel to them as well. Like Bones and All kind of had that feel to it as
A little
well,
bit, yeah.
but that one just had a little bit more going on, so maybe
Mm-hmm.
more of a budget or something. But I don't know. I can never really put my finger on these types of atmospheres, but I think we did a decent job just kind of
Trying to
hashing it
describe
out
it, yeah.
while we're talking. But yeah, it's an older one now. It's probably been out for 6 months, but
Mm. I recommend it. I think it's a quick enough watch,
I
and
think it's a good film for. And I don't want to be sexist here, but I definitely think this is catered more towards women.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I think they'll
Um,
resonate with it more just because of the fear of a stalker.
yeah,
Um,
I
but
enjoyed it
yeah,
a lot. So,
it is a very sad and dreary film.
mm-hmm.
But it has this kind of like humorous quality to it. Like the sadness is humorous in a way.
Mm.
It's weird. Check it out. Let us know if you watch it.